have a little conversation with Bobby Martin, our Titan of Industry. We've invited Anne Marie Dillard Jasek to join us. As you heard, Bobby's career began at Dillard's, and now the next generation of Dillard's leadership is represented by Anne Marie here to help ask some questions. You'll also have time to ask questions, so we'll have some mics in the audience. So let's talk to you about your career. Anne Marie, will you go first?
I am so inspired. That video, fantastic. But wow, Bobby, from a little boy picking cotton in a small town in Arkansas to having accomplished growing one of the biggest retailer in the world. Wow, I am so inspired, and I'm honored to talk to you today to just learn some more from you and sharing your wisdom of how you did this. And I think it's so amazing to see that despite all that you've accomplished, just the incredible amount of humility that you have and just lack of arrogance it's really incredible to see you doing this. So thank you for being here today. Thank you for sharing that video and thank you for making that, because I know I am so inspired from watching that.
All right, I've got to bring the whole room back down to reality. I really don't even know what to say. First time I saw that all the way through, and I'm glad you left out a lot of the other parts, but whatever. There is a lot of people in this room I'm looking back at now. I don't even know who all is here. I've seen a few. So there's a whole lot of them that would hold some pretty strong accountability about the balance of Bobby Martin. So, for me, as all of you can imagine, and for friends, Kurt Bradbury, they threw that in on us, but why not? And Kurt's own success in his career, and I think, being in Arkansas, I'm thinking about the giants of industry that this state has produced is amazing. So it's a humble seat to sit in. The recognition for all of you, I think you can kind of imagine, it's pretty humbling. So I'm not going to say anything terribly insightful to you, I'm sure, but even with white hair, I have enjoyed a career that has been very fruitful to us. We've been very blessed, and this is an honor that you just don't ever imagine you're going to do. I promised I wouldn't cry. Those who've been around me a lot know I cry at weddings, funerals, and supermarket openings. That's kind of a family thing, but it is super humble to kind of be where I'm at. And for you, having a third generation Dillard and me remembering where I started, there's just so much more I could say. I won't take time, with what we'll do here today. But for friends that have come a long way, and for students and others, thank you for coming. And I do hope at the end that we've enjoyed our time together. So thank you.
Well, to pivot just a little bit, we are here at the University of Arkansas Little Rock in the technology program, and again, Marla, thank you for being part of that. But I would love to learn a little bit more from you. As somebody who recently took over our technology teams at Dillard's, something that I feel like I used to see is technology really operated in kind of silo. It felt like that's a technology team, and these are the merchandising teams, and these are the finance teams, but that's not the case anymore. I mean, technology really, over the course of the last 2 decades, seems to have become very pervasive throughout the entire business. There's nothing that operates now without some basis in technology. And I think it's been fascinating to watch maybe you kind of be part of that evolution that I've seen over the past 20 years. How do you feel like technology has become such an important basis in kind of everything we do as a retailer now? What do you think caused the impetus for all that change, and how it's just so ingrained in the
No, it's a great, that's a good one. That's a great question, and I would say history certainly has been as you just described it. I do think that there's now the page has turned. It's greatly turned. I'll give you at least my perspectives about it. There's no question that industry, retail or not, I think the role of technology and the impact technology can have on companies, those that have been successful, have stayed successful, including yours. Companies that somehow did not let that fully happen. But it's always been the case. I think, it wasn't that I think the technicians or the technology folks were too nerdy, but there was such a separation. And, hundreds of millions of dollars in capital, honestly, went, kind of, if you will, down, let's just call it never did, produce the kind of return on investment the shareholders expected. So for a long, long time, that disconnect has been there. But as you said, I think it's inescapable today, because it is. It's woven into every single thing that you do. I will say this, not shining the light on my example, because my example is more about lessons I learned. I took a lot of pride in, even though I had an early technology career, but I knew I was in the retail business. So, the technologists of today, if they're going to deliver, because of the fact that everything that they do touches all parts of the company and it's intertwined in it all, then they have got to have as much of a passion for the business that they are in as the CEO at the top. I see there's a few former IT people sitting in this audience. Some may or may not fit into this, but even though in running IT, I used to require, it didn't matter who you were, you were a systems programmer, applications development program or whatever, you worked in the stores at least twice a year. And this is a bit dated, but I used to say it. I want all of us to think, and we kind of wrote it on the wall. We were 95% retailer and 5% technologists. Everything we did every day was delivering on those capabilities. And today, I think that, it's well written beyond anything that I would say today, that those companies that will be successful moving forward will be those where, in fact, technology has now been, truthfully stood up, and those that deliver on those kind of capabilities are now their business minded, their business people, their accountabilities.
And I love how you said that, because I think, in some companies today, I don't feel like it Dillard's. I actually do feel like we love investing in technology, but it is sometimes hard to bring executives into the fray and have them really understand into the fold why they should invest in technologies, and how do you get the senior leadership on board with what the technology thinks could really truly be important to the future of the business. So I think in an organization like you're describing, if the technology team is so aligned with the business, it probably helps on that front, where a lot of organizations struggle to get executives to justify the expenditures.
No, again, I think we can wrap up on
Not
this.
cheap.
It's not cheap. And the accountability of the delivery of the results, it doesn't land in the C-suite. And I think, again, the accountability of the technologists, or whatever titles or however they're represented in the organizations, they can't escape the money spent. I mean, they have to deliver it all the way through. And so anyway, I think, though, going to the high ground, we're not in the historical path anymore. It's inescapable how critical it is to the company. The boardrooms are full of it, they hold it. And I think, again, technology has moved itself to a way where, I kind of had to make my way into being more part of the business, but I think people today will be drawn into it even more, and they'll find their careers even more rewarding as well. So, and it beats picking cotton.
Yeah. Yes, but maybe not with your mother.
Maybe not with my mother.
So Bobby, you talked a lot, and we have a slide to show Tanner from a presentation that you did a long time ago about how you can kind of miss technology and how you have to keep up about technology leapfrogging. So with that context, how did Walmart miss e-commerce?
Oh, wow. I don't work here anymore. Wow, I've absorbed that slide, and I think I know which one it is.
It says change.
I probably did that in the early mid-90s. I remember the essence of it. Change does leapfrog change, and I think if you even look at the representations of things that are probably up there, I don't know where I had any kind of foresight to be thinking about virtual reality and so forth at that time. Look, I can't speak for Walmart. I wouldn't dare. However, I think it is, it's a great lesson in terms of looking at a company that had great prowess, even with technology, and then here comes someone that disrupts exactly what you're doing. Now, there's probably all kinds of rationale that you can throw at that and so forth, but I think even Walmart today would say probably underestimated the internet and how fast it would come along. I would say, again, not making excuses, but this is perspective about how as a company today, not let something like that happen in your rearview mirror, and you don't see it and you're not ready for it. That gets back again about, how critical are you about those things that are alive today and what could disrupt it? Are you a disruptor or have you been disrupted? Definitely, I don't know that Jeff Bezos or anybody, I don't remember all their numbers or their history, but I think they did not make a profit for about 14 years. That wouldn't have flown very well in the boardroom or among shareholders. And I think, the lesson though is here, as I think about it. I'm catching this off the cuff a little bit, but I think the history books will show that one as a big industry success. How could you not call it that? It definitely highlights though strategic patience and reinvestment. I'm not sure that you could start something again today and go 14 years without making a profit. But again, I think that when you go back and look at even a company like Walmart, not speaking for them, let's just pull back and say any company. The lesson is there. Innovation can never stop. You can never rationalize your way around, what change needs to come about and so forth. And, this is hindsight, but what comes to my mind right now is an exercise that Sam Walton used to run us through. Now, this is going to sound, again, like, well, wait a minute, what, if that was there, how did that happen? But we used to go do an exercise about twice a year on a Saturday morning, and what would be proposed to us as management and everybody in the auditorium is we sold the company on Friday. What are the top 3 things the new owners are going to change on Monday? Now, that wouldn't necessarily cause you to drive this kind of a radical change and shift in your business and so forth, but that's the mindset that it takes today. I look at Walmart today and say, can they start last and finish first? I'm still an alumni, so I'm going to go yes. But I think that, again, it's all about realizing that change is a constant. Change does lead change. And today, you cannot stand still in any way at all. You almost have to be willing to kind of blow up, if you will, your own business. But there again, I'm quite certain Kurt Granberry, I don't think very many shareholders would have been happy with Walmart if they decided to just part profits for about 14 years.
No, I don't think so.
Somewhere in there, I probably made an excuse, but
No. But that does lead us.
it's a great business lesson.
Yeah, it does lead to my next question, because now we're dealing with AI, rapidly changing even more so than the internet. And you've got to tour our facilities and meet some of our professors today, so we have a lot of AI initiatives going on campus. What advice would you give us as educators and also the businesses in the room around how we can best kind of grasp and move forward with changes with AI and machine learning?
Oh, wow. That's kind of a dark-haired question for a white-haired guy. I know what artificial intelligence is, and I keep up with it enough, but I think, if you don't mind, I'll back up a little bit. I think, for our generation, we're all going to look at COVID as maybe one of the biggest disruptions. Social life, business life, industry, you name it. I don't think we have finished it off yet. It's kind of like the Walmart example I would say as well on the e-commerce. There isn't anybody out there today that I think has blended e-commerce, digital experience, and the store. There's still a lot of evolution to take place. Now here comes something leapfrogging like artificial intelligence. And I think you have to be very careful when you start thinking about it, because the world looks at it, hears about it, and I think generally his reaction is, that's scary stuff. Now, at the same time, it is one incredibly powerful tool. So I think trying to answer your question, things that come to my mind is, let's go back to the beginning of, why in the early days of technology struggle so much inside industry and inside business. AI, you can't be nerdy with that. People are going to have to really totally understand, what it is, how it works, what it means. and not be afraid of it, but again, put it in its rightful place. Again, I'm not an AI person per se, but I know the terminology responsible AI. That means that, you know, there's an awful lot there. How do you control it? How do you control it for business? Does it have an ethical implication? Kind of, you know, sort of you name it. Definitely, you can't go, again, make it too technical for business or community, in the case of like what UVLR is doing. But I think it's one that it is the new world. We're not going to escape it at all. But it's quite interesting to think about the kind of things that it's able to do. I haven't had ChatGPT. I'm thinking about having ChatGPT write my eulogy. I'm thinking it might do better than all my friends, but no, I'm teasing. If you play, obviously, with it a little bit, and I kind of understand. I can see it changing workflow, you can see it changing all those things, which make a lot of sense. Here you are, the expert, that's your job. You ought to be fielding this question, how did I get in the middle of that? But I think, you know, once again, it's pretty exciting. I think because the things that we used to concern ourselves with, now they get solved. And they get solved in ways that allows innovation to speed up. Execution, candidly, to be more certain, sure. And you know, for an old dog in business, looking at my good friend Benny Westfall out there, another old dog, we know execution eats strategy for breakfast. And so anything that now technology or the capabilities that AI promises, it will shape, obviously, a new world. I'd love to hear your comments.
Yeah, I mean, I think AI is around for, you know, decades now. It's way older than any of us really think. It's certainly a hot topic right now, but I think the newest is the generative AI. And I think there are so many uncharted waters there. It's fascinating, you know, it's incredible the amount of efficiencies that it can create. It's incredible the amount that it can, you know, help somebody like a programmer write code in multiple different languages, help test that code, help get them on to bigger projects and kind of focus on bigger things. Maybe that's something we need to help. So I think there's tremendous opportunity, but I also think there's tremendous risk. I think there was a really interesting article in the Wall Street Journal this week about a hack that went on that involved somebody downloading generative AI technology, and there's a lot of risk with that. And I think that's another question I'd like to ask you about is, you know, I've seen over the course of the last 15 years, information security issues just proliferate. Hacks, ransomware, data breaches have just proliferated. Whether it's the Salt Typhoon episode that just happened with all the telecom companies, and apparently they're still listening to all of our phone calls, the Chinese that hacked us. All of our AT&T, Verizon, Lumen, all of the major telecom companies. You hear about $75 million ransoms now. I mean, it's becoming quite devastating, and it's also very expensive for companies to constantly have to hire more and more staff and deploy more and more third-party technologies to combat this kind of never-ending ascent of information security technology vulnerabilities and risk. How do you see that affecting technology going forward? AI is exciting, but it's not exciting if it gets you exposed to a $75 million ransomware attack.
No, I mean, those kind of things could scare us away. I think that'd be a real shame. You know, like, I guess when you kind of look at it, in fact, it's quite interesting. Plug UVLR here. You know, earlier today, being on campus, had a chance to look at and see what some of the programs going here, Chancellor, that are very impressive. I will do a miserable job of highlighting some of the competitive wins that this campus right here has produced for the Department of Defense and others. I'll be giving away things I shouldn't or something. But to come back, you know, I think to it, my first reaction is, where I responded immediately. I would hate to see that scare us away. I did ask, because I've been curious about it myself, so I asked the technicians in the room we were. I asked them, so AI, when it comes to cybersecurity. Is it a friend or is it a foe? Even during my time before I finished my board service and a time recently at Gap and stepping in interim as the CEO, I got right up front to knowing what happens. It's not uncommon for large companies today in the course of a year had as many as 1 billion attempts at one type of break-in or hack or whatever. So look, to me, it's not being this glass half full with a mindset. I do believe, just like many things that we've seen over time, that I've seen over my decades, I can tell you there's a lot of reasons why people have said ATMs would never work, or we couldn't. We're way past that one. So I believe the solutions will come. Clearly, AI does have, because I was implementing it during part of our time at Gap. AI, when you do have a hack, can be self-healing, if you will, to the network or to whatever. So picking up more and more on the patterns and so forth that cause these breaches that are very, very serious, that's critical. I think it's interesting from this standpoint. Again, thinking about Kirk Bradbury. If you're in banking, and people are here, if you're in banking, that accepting risk is one level there. For us as retailers, there may be a level of risk that we're willing to take. So it's a matter of how you go about that. Now, never compromising protection of the customer's data and so forth, but once again, I think that it's exciting to believe that we are at this point in time, that I used to say, wow, in 20 years or in 25 years, you won't believe what's going on. Think about that. And now you talk about in 5 years, in 7 years, because that's how we're seeing it come. I have to believe that we will harness, the solutions, and there will be a way to have safe AI. I hope.
I sure do, because it's so exciting.
So
Yeah.
Bobby, do you mind if we take a couple questions from the audience now?
Except my very closest friend.
So
It's not
you're
like,
not
not
allowed.
like to allow you to get this.
Please raise your hand. if
I
you
like
have a
questions.
Herb does in the very front row.
Do I need a mic or anything, just talk?
Yeah, we don't mind coming your way.
Okay, I don't wanna. I've got Parkinson's, so my voice is a little bit softer, but I have a side hobby that's dealing with AI, and I have some experts coming, and we're working with Marla on this, but I wanted to give you a little bit of my credentials. I grew up in Harrison, and all the Walmart people know that's the second store. And if you look around Harrison, they served a radius about 70 miles for Branson. But I wish they'd get away from the melons and the
The donkeys and
donkeys.
the watermelon
Because
juice.
the real story is there are a lot of people there that taught Sam retail. Now Sam knew how to market, but he didn't know a whole lot about retail. I had an aunt that worked there, one of the first employees, and she made a lot of money because she knew how to retail. But the other part I want to tell you is that I've been to all these places you talk about because I've been selling software all over the world. Yuri Damaro can vouch for me, but I've been in Argentina, and the people that's coming here are from Argentina, but they have one person that's an MIT grad that's the expert on AI. But the point is that I always like to go to Walmart in all these different countries because you always found out something new and different. And you'd go into Argentina and they might have a lot more appliances or something more suitable for that. But that was what I thought was really important. But what I wanted to get to a maybe more a serious question. I know that Walmart has looked at the situation, I think, politically and also across the country, and have cut back on their forecast. And I came from a rural area, and I know that 27% of the Arkansas population really depend on Medicaid, and it's about 800,000 people out of 3 million. And I'm saying that there is a potential when you start cutting out that, and it's a little bit of a political statement, but it's also a market statement, we're going to see hospitals that are going to be shell of what they were, and they're going to be see communities. And I think what Harrison did for Walmart, I really like to see. I'm kind of getting emotional, but I'd really like to see Walmart step in and do something for that community.
I will take that message back to Bentonville, Arkansas. And thanks for being a part of that incredible history in Harrison, Arkansas. I suspect you have a lot more stories.
Yeah.
Any other questions? We have a hand up in the middle, and one there. Johnny? And then can you get a microphone to Gina here?
Yeah, Bobby, thanks for the information and the great presentation. As a technologist, you started as a technologist who successfully transitioned into, the pinnacle of business leadership. Can you kind of describe your process and your attitude for how you would approach getting ready for that next position at each stage of your career?
Oh, wow. I need to go back and figure out how I did that. I go back to something again I think is it's very important. I believe, when you're going to work for a company, then you work for the company. And, again, I started at Dillard's. This story about Dillard's in this beginning is just, it's an untold story. So I got a chance to watch and see, even as a technologist, how the company is changing in success and real rewarding. So it was kind of naturally feeding, I guess, intellectual curiosity or whatever you want to make it. But the mindset of, not just giving more than a fair day's work for a fair day's pay, but a mindset of always, kind of getting more than you take and taking pride of ownership. I would say this to you. I cannot tell you, well, actually I can. I can look at you and say, not one time did I ever, envision myself as a CEO. Never. The only ambition I probably ever had was I always thought it would be really cool to be a vice president of the company. I never asked for a raise. I never tried to force a promotion. They always came when I didn't expect them, and usually were more than I would have asked for. So at the end of the day, I think, we make a choice. We make a choice about whether or not it's all about me and individually, or if it really is enjoying being a part of a purpose. And so I certainly had the work ethic that I learned out of the cotton field, but at the same time, I found a lot of joy with success, not only my own, but learning how to enjoy other success. I never was a good merchant. I always wanted to be, but I probably couldn't bank merchant. I wasn't the person to pick the items and colors and all that, but love that business. So I still try and encourage as many people that I can, where I'm a mentor, to look beyond their profession. Same thing for people in this room that's their focus is technology. At the end of the day, it isn't good if you just develop some cool application, some solution, if you never really see the result.
That's good advice. We have time for one last question. So Gina?
All right, well, I can see you. Watching